Okay, thank you all for being here. Good evening. We are now reconvening today's general legislative session for item 14. And could we please all be quiet? Thank you. We went over the rules of the board meeting earlier this morning, so I won't go over them formally, but I do see some folks here who were not here for that. So just a reminder that if you disrupt the meeting, you will get one warning. And if you disrupt the meeting again, you will be asked to leave. So let's please try to be kind and courteous to each other. I would like to welcome everyone for this very important forum. The Truth Act Forum is an opportunity for San Diego County residents to participate, advocate, and address the board and the sheriff about the need for transparency regarding the engagement between the County of San Diego sheriffs and the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, ICE. As background, in 2016, now Attorney General Rob Bonta introduced AB 2792, which was called the California Transparent Review of Unjust Transfers and Holds, TRUTH, and the TRUTH Act went into effect on January 1st, 2017, which provided three major changes. Today, we are convened here in accordance with the third major change caused by the TRUTH Act, which requires a local legislative body to hold a community forum annually if local law enforcement allows ICE to access any individual. So today, our community forum will follow the following process. First, Sheriff Martinez and her team will give a presentation. Second, we invite the public to make public comment on the presentation. And third, we provide a space for community members to submit questions prior to this meeting for the sheriff to answer. The clerk will read these questions that were submitted by folks assembled here and others in the community, and then Sheriff Martinez and her team will answer those questions at the dais. And lastly, the supervisors here, the three of us, will have the opportunity to make comments and ask questions of Sheriff Martinez and her team. So we all appreciate the public and community partners for helping provide information and important questions on this very, very critical subject. As a board, we have made a commitment to prioritize that immigrants and refugees in San Diego County will be treated with dignity, humanity, and respect. So I now hand the floor to Sheriff Kelly Martinez for her presentation.
And thank you, Vice Chair Larson-Rimmer. I'm Andrew Strong, Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for the Public Safety Group. And Vice Chair and members of the board, the Transparent Review of Unjust Transfers and Holds Act, known as the TRUTH Act, as codified in Government Code Section 7283.1, requires the governing body of a county to hold a community forum if a law enforcement agency with the county has provided immigration and customs enforcement with access to an individual during the previous year. Every year, we ask all department heads to answer whether their department provided ICE with access to an individual for purposes of civil immigration enforcement. The Sheriff's Office is the only one with information to report. At this time, I'll now turn the presentation over to Sheriff Kelly Martinez.
Thank you, Andrew. Good evening, Vice Chair Larson-Rimmer and members of the board. As Andrew has mentioned, the Sheriff's Office falls within the reporting requirements of the TRUTH Act, given our role of transferring individuals from our custodial setting to immigration and customs enforcement as permitted by state law. This year's presentation will explain the balance my agency engages in when it comes to lawfully providing ICE access to individuals who meet qualifying criminal convictions as dictated by state law. In 2013, 2016, and 2017, a trio of immigration bills from the California legislature were signed that impacted law enforcement agencies' involvement in federal immigration enforcement. The Transparency and Responsibility Using State Tools Act, known as the Trust Act, or AB4, was enacted in 2013 and limits the ability of local law enforcement to hold individuals in custody based solely on immigration detainers. The Transparent Review of Unjust Transfer Holds Act, or TRUTH Act, AB 2792, implemented in 2016, mandates that local law enforcement agencies provide transparency regarding their cooperation with federal immigration authorities, requiring notification to individuals before their information is shared and allowing them the right to consult with an attorney. The California Values Act, or SB 54, which was passed in 2017, limits the circumstances under which local law enforcement may use funds or personnel to support immigration enforcement and prevents sheriff's deputies from asking about an individual's immigration status, from sharing a person's personal information with immigration authorities unless otherwise required or permitted by law, or from arresting anyone only for having a deportation removal order or for most other immigration violations. Since the enactment of these three pieces of legislation, the Sheriff's Office has remained committed to developing and maintaining collaborative relationships with all stakeholders to build and strengthen public trust, effective policing, and ensure public safety. Since the enactment of the state's immigration laws, the Sheriff's Office has been working hard to build relationships with our immigrant and refugee communities while maintaining our commitment to transparency by publishing data, reports, and policies on our public website that touch on this subject matter. Our award-winning Sheriff Spanish Academy dedicates a significant amount of its curriculum and discussion towards demystifying our role when it comes to working with ICE. This education gets transferred to our youth programs, such as Rise Above and Respect Project, which incorporate families who might have undocumented family members. In broad terms, the Sheriff's Office does not ask immigration status, does not investigate or enforce immigration law, does not detain an individual for an ICE hold request, does not participate in immigration raids, checkpoints, or mass deportations, does not provide personal information about an individual, including but not limited to the individual's home address or work address, unless that information is available to the public. We do share release date information or transfer to ICE when an individual has a qualifying conviction per state law or unless authorized by a judicial warrant. We also participate in regional task forces that do not focus on immigration enforcement. Given the significant discussion around immigration this past year, I find it important that this presentation clearly explain the role of the Sheriff's Office when it comes to immigration policy. The primary interactions with ICE center on individuals who are already in our custody. These individuals would qualify for ICE to access their release information if the individual has qualified for one of the provisions listed on this slide as governed by the California Government Code, or if there is a judicial warrant for that individual. To further explain the process within our jail setting, I would like to invite Liliana Martinez Puentes, my detentions processing manager, who will walk us through the various scenarios and data associated with 2024 ICE transfers.
Good evening. Tonight I will be providing a general overview on the Sheriff's Detention Services Bureau's jail processes and 2024 statistical data as it relates to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. In all of the following scenarios, ICE is required to submit formal documentation for their requests. This documentation is screened by our Jail Population Management Unit for approval or denial based on qualifying convictions and compliance with state law. If ICE is interested in speaking with or interviewing someone in custody, ICE submits the request to our Jail Population Management Unit for screening. If the request is denied, a copy of the J330 form is presented to the incarcerated person in their preferred language, indicating the denial for notification purposes, and the process ends. There is no interaction allowed between ICE and the individual in custody. If the request is approved, the J330 form is presented in their preferred language, and the individual is given the opportunity to decline to be interviewed, agree to an interview without an attorney, or voluntarily agree to an interview with an attorney present. If they agree to be interviewed with their attorney present, we request the attorney's contact information to provide them with an emailed notification of their client's request. We can also provide a copy of this form to a designated person of their choosing. Lastly, if the individual declines to complete or sign the J330 form, the interview will not be allowed and the process will end. Outside law enforcement agencies, including ICE, do not have free access to any sheriff's facilities or jails. ICE is required to check in via the primary entrance point and follow professional visitor guidelines. This allows the Sheriff's Office to monitor and track access for all of our visitors entering any of the sheriff's facilities or jails. In this scenario, ICE may request a notification on the date of an individual's release from sheriff's custody. ICE will need to submit their formal written request to our office for screening. This request will be approved or denied based on previous qualifying convictions per state law. If denied, the process will end. If the request is approved and a release date is available, we will generate a J335 form in their preferred language and provide it to the incarcerated person for their signature. This process informs the individual that we intend to comply with ICE's request by contacting them on their date of their release. The release date is provided on the form. The individual is also given an opportunity to provide a copy of the form to their attorney or designee by providing their contact information. They may also decline this option. On the date of release, if approved, the Sheriff's Office will notify ICE of a person's release via telephone call. This call is for notification purposes only. We do not schedule or coordinate a person's release with ICE, nor is the release delayed as part of this process. If ICE is interested in an individual, but a release date is yet to be determined, they may submit their formal written request to the Sheriff's Office. Their requests will be screened by our Jail Population Management Unit for approval or denial based on qualifying convictions per state law. If the request is rejected, a J340 form will be completed indicating the rejection, and a copy will be provided for signature to the incarcerated individual. The ability to provide contact information for their attorney or a designee to obtain a copy of the form is an option. They can also choose to decline. If the request is approved, this will be indicated on the J340 form along with the qualifying charge and conviction date. The individual will be provided a copy of the J330 form in their preferred language, informing them that ICE is interested in receiving a notification on their release date and our intent to comply once the date becomes available. They will be given the opportunity to provide contact information for their attorney or designee to receive a copy of the form or decline this option. This historical data reflects the various types of formal written requests received from Immigration and Customs Enforcement over the past 8 years. The first significant increase shown on this graph occurred between 2017 and 2018. This stemmed from the enactment of Senate Bill 54 in 2018, which removed the open access of information, causing ICE to transition to a formally tracked request process. Despite a bump of J340 requests in 2019, there was a decline in interview requests, presumably due to a Sheriff's Office policy change related to limited facility access placed on ICE. It was in this year that ICE agents began to be required to formally check into Sheriff's facilities via primary entrance points by signing in and exchanging their government-issued IDs for facility visitors' passes. Office policy prevented ICE from open access and was required to follow professional visitor guidelines. Between the years of 2020 and 2021, we experienced significant decreases in activity based on the COVID-19 pandemic. This volume slightly increased in 2022 as pandemic restrictions lifted. We saw a slow increase in requests in 2023 as we transitioned out of pandemic restrictions. In 2024, we saw an increase in J340 and J335 requests. The volume of requests shown in 2024 illustrate levels similar to the data collected in 2019, pre-pandemic.
Please pause. Okay, go ahead and continue.
Thank you. In the interest of transparency, in 2024, there was a declined interview request that was inadvertently entered into our computer system. Since our database doesn't have a mechanism to edit or delete data, this entry was captured when the year-end report was generated. To confirm, no actual interviews were requested, declined, or took place in 2024. In the same year, 2024, our Jail Population Management Unit received a total of 1,236 ICE release notification requests. Of those requests, 202 were rejected because the individual did not meet the necessary criteria under Senate Bill 54. 1,034 requests were screened and determined to have qualifying charges, convictions, or criminal history. Therefore, the request for the notification was accepted. Also in 2024, 30 transfers took place. This graph reflects the history of ICE transfers over the past 8 years. The enactment of Senate Bill 54 in 2018 significantly impacted the number of transfers between 2017 and 2018. While there was a slight increase in 2019, the data reflects a significant decline during the COVID-19 pandemic. Of the 30 individuals that were transferred to ICE, 11 were transferred due to federal judicial warrants placed against them. 6 were transferred as a result of qualifying charges followed by a judicial warrant, and 13 were determined to have a qualifying offense. One thing of note, in 2024, there was a significant increase in the number of transfers resulting from federal judicial warrants. Of the 30 individuals transferred to ICE in 2024, there was 1 female and 29 males. And these individuals self-reported their country of origin as 3 from Guatemala, 1 from Honduras, 20 from Mexico, 1 from Thailand, and 5 from the United States of America. To reiterate, this information is self-reported by the individual during the booking process. This slide reflects the qualifying convictions for the 30 transfers that occurred in 2024. Some of the qualifying convictions include robbery, theft by fear or by force or fear, false imprisonment, assault, transportation or sale of restricted dangerous drugs. I would like to now turn the presentation back to Sheriff Martinez to conclude this evening's presentation.
Thank you, Lily. I want to emphasize that the Sheriff's Office has an unwavering commitment to fostering a safe and inclusive environment for all residents of San Diego County. My policy posture is based on the foundation of representing the voices of victims, as well as ensuring our communities not only feel safe, but that they are safe. The individuals involved in this policy are deportable by ICE if found in the community. I believe it is far safer for ICE to receive individuals who meet qualifications in the jail setting, therefore not causing ICE to be in the community seeking these individuals and potentially contacting family members and other members of the community as collateral. When we look at the 30 individuals who were transferred in 2024, these individuals generated 108 bookings into my jail system. That means they came into the jail 108 times on various charges over the course of the last 7 years. One individual had been booked a total of 12 times since 2018. My policy is based on enforcement as well as prevention. And based on these numbers, it is rare for an individual to only have 1 prior booking, meaning it is highly probable they have been a threat to the public safety in our region. As I've mentioned before, as a sheriff, I believe it is crucial for every member of our region to live with dignity, security, and an opportunity to thrive in their communities. By upholding the principles of transparency and accountability, we can build stronger relationships between law enforcement and our diverse communities. Vice Chair Lawson-Remer and members of the board, this concludes our presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we turn to the members of the public for public comment on the sheriff's presentation. And as a reminder, everyone will have 1 minute. So please go ahead, Andrew.
Thank you, Vice Chair Lawson-Remer. We have 66 requests to speak on this item, 51 in person and 15 requesting to speak by phone. I also note for the record that we received 77 e-comments, 4 in support, 56 in opposition, and 13 neutral comments. Any individuals that requested to speak on this item by phone, please dial into the conference line using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the group presentation. You'll have 10 minutes to address the board. All 3 members of the group must speak during that 10 minutes. I'd like to invite forward Crystal Felix, Paulina Reyes, Parariz, and Ian Sorello. And as a reminder, each person in your group may speak for no more than 4 minutes. And as you come forward, I'll ask you to please state your name at the podium before you begin your presentation. So if you could each please state your name for the record.
I'm going to connect.
Paulina Reyes Berrariz.
Thank you. The next individual?
Crystal Felix.
Great, thank you.
Ian Cervelo.
Great, thank you. I'll begin your time.
Give me 1 second before
Okay,
you do
sure.
that, because the clerk's going to give the presentation. Paulina's first. And just hit the arrows here to advance the screen.
Good afternoon, Board of Supervisors. Thank you for having us. My name is Paulina Reyes Berrariz, Managing Attorney with Immigrant Defenders Law Center. We bring this presentation today as community members and immigrant advocates. Continued entanglement between local law enforcement and federal immigration is not good policy. It is not making our city safer, but rather builds on hateful narrative and instills fear in our community. We are living in unprecedented times where the federal government is openly disobeying court orders to whatever fits their agenda and using scare tactics to make us turn on our neighbors. I bring up what's happening in the national level in order to highlight why the sheriff's continued refusal to comply with local policy L2 is so dangerous at this moment. It's important to recognize that ICE officers are acting as police, judge, and executioners, arresting someone and immediately deporting them before they have an opportunity to defend themselves, let alone speak with an attorney or their family members. What we are seeing is a lack of due process. This means that people are being accused by the government without the opportunity to defend themselves. As an immigration attorney who currently represents immigrants that were wrongfully accused and sent to the torture prison in El Salvador, it is important that we safeguard one of the most fundamental constitutional rights. Immigrant communities are living in fear under the current administration's immigration policies. So when community members hear about law enforcement agencies in other states that are being deputized by the Department of Homeland Security, they are afraid that the same is true in San Diego because the sheriff continues to work with DHS. Today, my client told me that he was afraid to take his children to park on Easter out of fear that he might be targeted by police or ICE. He is married to a U.S. citizen. He has an application pending for permanent lawful residence. He has no criminal history, has not violated any immigration law, and so there's no reason why he should be targeted. And yet, we hear of stories of people being picked up, wrongfully accused, and immediately deported. In the last week or so, there was a story of a U.S. citizen who was detained by ICE for a few days because they did not believe that he was a U.S. citizen. Immigration agents even wrote on their own statements that he admitted being born in a different country, and all that was a lie. We're hearing of errors being committed nationwide by ICE officers who hastily deport or intimidate people to sign for their deportation before having an opportunity to speak with an attorney or see a judge. Stories like these highlight why it's so important that the sheriff stop giving DHS open access to individuals in their custody. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Crystal Felix, also an immigration attorney here in San Diego. I'm here to speak on the local impact of the federal immigration policies and, more urgently, how the San Diego Sheriff's continued actions are harming our community, despite the clear state laws meant to protect immigrants. Sheriff Kelly Martinez continues to collude with ICE in direct violation of state law and against the will of the people. Her actions are not just policy choices, they have real, devastating consequences for families across San Diego County. We were told that cooperation between the Sheriff's Office and ICE is reserved for the most violent offenders, but that simply isn't true. I firsthand see how this plays out. One of my clients who had no criminal history and was released from jail after an arbitrary nonviolent arrest that led to no charges was flagged to ICE, detained, and separated from family. At a time when simply having a tattoo can lead to someone being disappeared in El Salvador, we cannot allow our own local sheriff to be complicit in this machinery of disappearances. These actions have a chilling effect. Immigrant communities are afraid to call the police, access county services, or even go to the doctor. Public safety is weakened when community trust is broken. So Sheriff Martinez has been very public in her refusal to follow this law and policy, but the law is not optional, neither is public trust. Under the current climate, where federal funding for immigration legal services has been slashed, local organizations like mine have seen our ability to serve the community gutted. That's why the county's immigrant rights legal defense program is more critical than ever. It was designed to safeguard due process and ensure access to legal representation for our communities, but here's the problem. Even when services are available, families don't feel safe engaging with local systems. We cannot build trust and we cannot ensure safety if local agencies continue to act as an extension of federal immigration enforcement.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Ian Ceruelo. I'm the chair of the San Diego Immigrant Rights Consortium. As an immigration attorney myself, I am keenly aware of the fear in our communities and that many community members distrust the local police, and many are not sure if it is safe to provide their information to the county to access its programs and services. I am sure some community members here will be able to attest to that later. The San Diego Immigrant Rights Consortium want to highlight the following key information. First, the Sheriff's Department is not being completely transparent with the information it releases to the public. There are many important information that were left out in each disclosures. Secondly, the number of San Diegans transferred by the Sheriff's Department to ICE has been increasing since 2021, as shown by their data earlier. In 2022, 18 were transferred from the Sheriff's custody to ICE, so that is equivalent to at least 18 families here in San Diego who have knowledge that their local police colluded with ICE. In 2023, that number increased to 25 more families, and in 2024, at least 30 more families here in San Diego have learned that the local sheriff transferred their family member to ICE. And add to that number the hundreds more incidents where the sheriffs notified ICE of the arrest and the release of other San Diego residents. The Sheriff's Department is not required under state law to transfer the San Diegans to ICE custody or notify ICE, but they chose to. And that is creating further erosion of community trust. The California Values Act sets the floor and allows local jurisdiction to craft policies that further limit its entanglement with ICE. Hence, the county adopted Resolution L2 last December 10, 2024, that strengthened the limits of the use of county resources for immigration enforcement. Sadly, the Sheriff's Department then declared that it is not going to abide by the county resolution. The slide shows that many important information are missing from the sheriff's disclosure, like the actual conviction or the actual arrest that resulted, the actual charges that resulted to a conviction. I just want to underscore that the transfer and notifications that occurred after December 10, when the county passed the L2 resolutions, are violation of the local policy, and hence are violations of state law. As shown in the slide above, lines 11 and 12 occurred after the adoption of the L2 resolution. That is why it is ironic that we call on the sheriff to follow the law and comply with the county resolution. Lastly, I would like to end by quoting the words of Caroline Hunter, whom I was honored to meet recently. Ms. Hunter is a labor community leader and educator, and was instrumental leading a movement of international opposition that brought down the apartheid in South Africa. She said, and I quote, "I refuse to buy the bricks that would be used to build our own prison." End quote. We should refuse to spend any cent to finance the harmful policies that oppress our communities. As taxpayers of San Diego and this state, we should strongly demand that limited county resources are not spent in further creating fear in our neighborhoods, terrorizing our communities, and dividing our families. We asked the county sheriff to immediately stop the ICE transfers and notifications, stop allowing DHS and ICE access to county facilities, including parking lots, and stop the sharing of information, data, and resources with DHS. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the individuals.
Sorry, everyone, apologies. I know this is an incredibly important issue for our community, but we don't have clapping in the chamber because of the disruption of the meetings, but I see some people doing this. So if you are in agreement with something someone says, please twinkle. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the individual speakers. As your name is called, please come forward and stand on the arrows until it is your turn to speak at the podium. I will be calling you in groups of 3, so I will ask you to please listen for your name. You will have 1 minute to address the board, and we'll ask you to please begin by stating your name for the audio record. I'd like to invite forward the first 3 individuals, Caitlin Munson, Ariane Dixit, and Rosemary Bornstein. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Good evening, Acting Chair Lawson Reamer and Supervisors. My name is Caitlin Munson, and I am a resident of District 4. I'm here tonight to demand that the San Diego County Sheriff's Office immediately adopt the county's sanctuary policy and stop all collaboration with DHS agencies to detain and deport our community members. Our region is stronger when San Diegans don't live in fear that an encounter with law enforcement will result in deportation. The SDSO's continual voluntary collaboration with ICE and Border Patrol makes our communities less safe and makes the possibility of keeping our loved ones together less possible. In 2024, SDSO transferred 30 people into ICE custody voluntarily. Each of these 30 individuals were part of our community and were potentially deported because of the SDSO's actions, causing generational trauma across entire families, communities, and our region. And that's my time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello. My name is Ariane Dixit, and I'm a resident of District 3 and a student with the Student Civil Liberties Union at UC San Diego. I'm here today to demand that the San Diego County Sheriff's Office immediately adopt the county's sanctuary policies and also stop collaboration with the Department of Homeland Security and ICE and various other agencies detaining and deporting our community members. Officers of these departments have begun targeting homeless shelters, schools, educational facilities, even places in and around my campus at UC San Diego. The sheriff is actively cooperating with ICE in a method that disregards our families and community members and safety of San Diegans everywhere, which is precisely why I'm here to continue to demand that they listen to the county sanctuary policy and ensure that community members and students here feel safe. Thank you.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite 3 additional speakers, Aaron Suramoto Grassi, Jeffrey Karahamuheto, and Jasmine Lee. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Good evening. My name is Rosemary Bornstein, and I'm a resident of the 4th District. I'm here tonight because my grandparents came to the USA from Germany in the 1930s, leaving the only home they ever knew. My grandfather was privileged enough to come directly to the United States and come here legally, but my grandmother was not. She had to live for many years in fear of a country getting closer and closer to her that was going to exterminate her. They eventually united. I don't have time to talk about their story tonight, but I trust you get the gist because it's a story we've heard 1,000 times in the US. It's something that we honor, it's something we respect because I look the way I do. Something to keep in mind though, this completely derailed their lives. It was illegal. And saying I just followed orders is not a sufficient defense. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, Aaron Suramoto Grassi, Associate Director at Alliance San Diego.
First, I want to thank the supervisors who continue to stand with immigrants and refugees in our region who voted for Board Policy L2 to prohibit county resources from being used for immigration enforcement. This was courageous, it was forward-thinking, and it helped reassure community members that their county government was one that they could trust. The sheriff's refusal to comply with Board Policy L2 threatens to destroy this trust. You cannot build trust with community members when they are afraid that contact with your officers will result in deportation. It is disingenuous to tell the community that you are not enforcing immigration law when you are in fact choosing to hand San Diegans over to ICE. And further, it's incredibly problematic when the head law enforcement officer in our county shows flagrant disregard for the law itself. This is unacceptable and downright dangerous to the public. If the sheriff refuses to stop using county resources to assist with immigration enforcement, then perhaps it is time for the board to consider taking away those resources.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, y'all. My name is Jeffrey Alonzo Caramujeto. I'm the senior organizer with the ACLU SDIC and a proud resident of District 4. As the ACLU, we are also proud members of the Fuera Migra Working Group. We're here tonight to demand that the SDSO immediately adopt the county sanctuary policy to end all collaboration with DHS agencies and to stop using our local resources to advance the federal government's anti-immigrant agenda. All San Diego County residents deserve the right to live without fear of deportation and being ripped away from their loved ones. The San Diego Sheriff's Office's choice to continue to voluntarily work with ICE wastes our limited local resources by costing taxpayers tens of thousands of dollars annually. Every year for the last 8 years, ACLU, SDIC, and our community partners have attended these Truth Act forums, demanding the same thing from the sheriff, that the Sheriff's Office stop all collaboration with DHS agencies.
Thank you. Your time is up. Thank you. Thank you. Your time is up. Your time is up. Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite 3 additional speakers. Jasmine Lee, allegedly Audra, Pam, and Gianna Giacalone. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Good evening. My name is Jasmine Lee, and I'm a resident of District 3 and a student with the Student Civil Liberties Union at UC San Diego. I'm here tonight to demand that the San Diego County Sheriff's Office immediately adopt the county's sanctuary policy and stop all collaboration with DHS agencies to detain and deport our community members. Officers of these departments have begun targeting our homeless shelters and places of education, hunting, even for minors. The sheriff actively cooperates with ICE in a method that disregards our families, students, and communities. The federal administration has been making my campus feel unsafe, especially now with the removal of the sensitive locations ordinance allowing ICE onto university campuses. Using detentions, deportations, and wreaking havoc on families is neither humanitarian nor just. This is the same agency that has detained and deported some of my classmates for no reason. To continue to trust and maintain a working relationship makes San Diego fundamentally unsafe, not just for immigrants, but their families, friends, and colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, Board of Supervisors. My name is Gianna Giacalone, and I'm a resident of District 4. I'm also an ACLU member and volunteer. I'm here tonight to demand that the San Diego County Sheriff's Office immediately adopt the county sanctuary policy and stop all collaboration with the Department of Homeland Security's agencies to detain and deport our community members. When I think about ways to make our community safer, it does not involve tearing apart families and making our immigrant community members live in fear, which is absolutely what we are seeing. We need to focus our energy on providing reasonable pathways to citizenship and investing in resources like the Immigrant Legal Defense Fund to provide legal services to support the process, not using those resources to respond to optional ICE requests. The collaboration between local law enforcement and ICE is the primary driver behind mass deportations, 70 to 75%. Incarceration, detention, and deportation have the lifelong lasting impacts on individuals and families. Criminalizing people does not reduce harm, it causes it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite 3 additional speakers, Marilia, Nicole Lee, and Lydia Morales. If I've called your name, please come forward.
My person uses the name Audra. Welcome to the reality of America. Kelly, you're saying that you represent the voices of the victims and you want to make sure all are safe. I was assaulted in a meeting like this 2.5 years ago to this day by your sheriff, and nothing was done. And it's interesting that people want transparency, they want due process, they want the rights that Americans don't get. Because as Americans, we don't even get those rights. And people that come from countries that have been destroyed by America, it's almost as if there's a Stockholm syndrome going on, believing that the people that are supposed to, I mean, that's what they should be doing, is representing the people. But they don't. And America has been fighting for these rights for a very long time. And it's very sad to see that when I was telling the sheriff, don't beat me up when I go in today, he said, don't disrupt the meeting, instead of saying that will never happen. So for people to expect things that Americans don't get, you have to become and understand what the reality is of what's going on in America.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, board members. My name is Marilia Maskian. I'm a resident of District 4. I just wanted to share that. So I immigrated here with my family when I was young, grew up undocumented until my early 20s, and remember being super scared of law enforcement and that I was going to be deported, or my family was going to be deported when we got pulled over. So DHS and ICE can't be trusted. We're seeing it every day, deporting people to prisons in other countries because of things like tattoos, which are so mainstream now that even like my 7-year-old mom wants them. And they're eroding our basic rights by detaining students who use their constitutional right to free speech and acting in defiance of court orders. So of course community members don't trust ICE and DHS and are super scared. I stand with the community to ask that the San Diego County Sheriff's Office act in accordance with the board policy that was passed last December and stop all collaborations with DHS agencies. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello there, my name is Nicole. I live in District 1 in the Mount Hope community, and I'm a community organizer with ACE. My family and I grew up in Vietnam, and my family and I moved here in 2017. I got my citizenship 2 years ago, and as a person who came here the right way, I urge that the sheriff immediately adopt the county's sanctuary policy and stop using county resources to exacerbate the administration's attacks on all of our communities. Voluntarily working with ICE in detaining and deporting our community members and loved ones is not public safety. Separating families is not serving and protecting our community, especially at a time when the attacks on our immigrant communities are constant and rampant, when we're facing mass layoffs from budget cuts and deficits, when schools and libraries are closing. We cannot stand by and let the sheriff use our money, tens of thousands of dollars every single year, to further harm our communities.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite 3 additional speakers: Daniel Loza, Maria Isabel, and Aline Bratton. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Primero su nombre.
Lidia Morales.
Ok. Adelante.
Mi nombre es Lidia Morales.
Okay, my name is Lidia Morales.
Soy miembro de ACE,
And I'm a member of ACE.
Unión de Inquilinos de California. Soy de Distrito 8.
Okay, and I'm also for the Union of California in District 8.
Les quiero pedir a la Policía de San Diego, a la oficina del sheriff,
Okay, and I would like to ask the police of San Diego and also the sheriff's office
que respeten la póliza L2,
that please, that you need to respect the policy L2.
que dice que no pueden usar los recursos del condado de San Diego
That indicates that you're not able to use any type of resources from the county of San Diego
para trabajar con ICE.
in order to work with ICE.
No más colaboración
No more collaboration
de San Diego Police
from the San Diego Police
y en la oficina del sheriff
or the sheriff's office
con ICE.
with ICE.
Respeten la póliza L2. por nosotros que estamos en San Diego y por nuestros recursos.
And please respect policy L2, for all of us here that we're using our resources.
Gracias.
And thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Elaine Bratton. As a border city, we have a responsibility to be welcoming and caring to our neighbors, and most important, to ensure everybody's rights are upheld. Many of us have seen the chaos caused by the mercurial changes by the federal government. We know that indiscriminate enforcement results in children, parents, and families being separated and leaving communities in trauma. Not just at the sheriff's door, but almost by exclusively targeting Black and brown people at the places they shop, go to school, and work, often leading to illegal deportation. This is especially heinous when they, and all of our ancestors were immigrants, some of us forcibly. Immigration is a natural and ancient human activity. Customs, local police departments, and the sheriff's office needs to stop any assistance to these illegal activities by our federal government. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll call 3 additional speakers: Flower Alvarez Lopez, Felicia Gomez, and Patricia Mendoza. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Good evening, supervisors. My name is Felicia Gomez. I'm a member of the Fuera Migra Working Group and a resident of District 5. I'm here tonight to demand that the SDSO immediately adopt Board Policy L2 and stop using our local resources to advance the federal government's anti-immigrant agenda. The voluntary collaboration between SDSO and ICE harms all San Diegans. This collaboration wastes San Diego County's precious local dollars. It's estimated that one transfer exceeds $2,000 per person. Based on this figure, the 30 people that SDSO transferred in 2024 cost taxpayers $60,000, money that we don't get reimbursed for. We cannot afford to waste our local funding to do ICE's job for them, nor should we want to. Additionally, the hyperfixation on immigrants with convictions fails to recognize the humanity and dignity of all people. We must acknowledge that all people, regardless of who they are, where they're from, or what harm they may have caused, are worthy of redemption and opportunities to make a better life for themselves. The double punishment of immigrants and unequal treatment of people solely based...
Thank you. Your time is up. Your time is up. Thank you.
For the record, my name is Flower Alvarez Lopez. Once again, good evening, Acting Chair and Supervisors. I represent Universidad Popular. We are proudly based in District 5, where I serve as the co-director. We are core members of the Fuera Migra San Diego Working Group. Fuera Migra works to decriminalize immigrants in San Diego County. We surely reject the sheriff's entanglement with ICE, and we urge the sheriff to stop transferring community members to the crosshairs of uncertain immigration detention and deportation. I'm here to register Universidad Popular's neutral position. I've attended every Truth Act forum since the very first one. Year after year, we come here to confront the unacceptable and deeply harmful practices of ICE notifications and transfers in our county. Despite repeated community testimony, lived experience, and clear evidence of harm, these practices continue. It is far past time for accountability and action.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'll call 3 additional speakers: Victor Valle, Mark Ezekiel Welsh. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Ready? Hi, thank you. My name is Patricia Mendoza. I am a statewide organizer with ACE, and I'm here just like everybody else. We demand that the sheriff stop using county resources to aid the detention and deportation and separation of families. Please comply with L2. I know you've heard it all before, but as a proud daughter of immigrant parents, I'm letting you know that not all immigrants are criminals. My parents have had their own business for 22 years now, and unfortunately, I flunked 3rd grade because when I was little, my parents were scared to go out there and take me to school because ICE was out in our apartments on Plaza Boulevard in National City. Do you know how traumatic that is? I flunked 3rd grade as a little girl because they were out there. We don't want this. A community is, at the end of community, there's unity, and we need to come together. and unite. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, supervisors. My name is Ezekiel Welsh, and I'm a resident of District 1, which is unfortunately unrepresented right now. I'm here tonight to demand that San Diego County Sheriff's Office immediately adopt the county's sanctuary policy and stop all collaboration with DHS agencies to detain and deport our community members. The Sheriff Department is willingly acting in violation of state law in SB 54 by not complying with local policy. But more importantly than that, they are actively facilitating the deportation of our community. They're perpetuating the dehumanization of our community members while simultaneously displaying their contempt for our democratic process and the communities in San Diego County. The San Diego County Sheriff's Office must immediately adopt the county sanctuary policy, Board Policy L2, and stop using county resources to advance the federal government anti-immigrant agenda. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'll call 3 additional speakers: Iqbal Badar, Teresa Zettner, Clint Carney. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Mark, this isn't about legal immigrants who are not committing crimes. Here's a quote from humanevents.com. Of the 22,283 immigrant and customs enforcement detainers declined nationwide between fiscal year 2023 and February 6, 2025, more than 13,000 came from California, end quote. I've got 35 seconds, so these are some headlines that I have a big problem with. These first 2 are basically about immigrants that get way more benefits than any hardworking American ever got. Then these are crimes. These first 3 are ICE criminals that the ICE detainers were not honored, and they just went on and committed heinous crimes. And there's tens of thousands, if not over 100,000 criminals.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Your time is up. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, Acting Chair and Supervisors. My name is Iqbal, and I'm a resident of North County. I'm here to demand that the San Diego County Sheriff Office immediately adopt the county sanctuary policies and stop all collaboration with ICE agencies to detain and deport our community members. Knowing that the new Trump administration is shipping off anyone they'd like to El Salvador and other concentration camps without due process, this will already add to the growing paranoia within the San Diego community. Releasing individuals to ICE will not stop the families of that individual safe from ICE. We already see that ICE has no boundaries to detain undocumented, documented green card holders and American citizens. Let us keep families together and not tear them apart. Let the San Diego County Sheriff's Office work for the people of San Diego and not for the new administration.
Next speaker, please.
Good evening, Acting Chair Lawson Reamer and Supervisors. My name is Teresa Zettner, and I am a resident of District 4. I'm here tonight to demand that the San Diego County Sheriff's Office immediately adopt the county's sanctuary policy and stop all collaboration with Department of Homeland Security and agencies to detain and deport our community members. This is hugely important. ICE, as we've heard, is ultimately terrorizing our community. I have several friends who are teachers who have shared with me that their students who have families who have immigrated here have stopped attending classes because of fear of ICE. The San Diego County Sheriff's Office must immediately adopt the county's sanctuary policy, Board Policy L2, and stop using county resources to advance the federal government's anti-immigrant agenda. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'll invite 3 additional speakers: Tarek Rahal, Kenneth Herman, and Adriana Jasso. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Hello, Supervisors. My name is Clint Carney. I'm with Survivors of Torture International, and I'm on the advisory board of the San Diego Immigrant Rights Consortium. You've heard me tell this statistic before that 44% of refugees and asylum seekers that come to this country are classified, they are eligible as torture survivors. Even if that number is 10%, it's clear that the sheriff has helped deport torture survivors back to further harm. That's a human rights abuse, a violation in itself. Recently, we had a meeting with clients from around the world, and we said, hey, does everybody have access to food? Are you hungry? 100% raised their hand. They're hungry. They don't have food. And we said, what's going on? Why? They said, we're not getting on the trolley. We're not getting on the bus. We're afraid of the police. We don't want to go and encounter police. So that's a result of state-sponsored terror. People are going hungry because they just distrust law enforcement. So we ask, please stop.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, Chair and Supervisors. I'm Tariq Rahal. I'm a resident of District 4. I'm here to urge the San Diego Sheriff's Office to end its collaboration with ICE. The San Diego Sheriff's Office voluntary transfers and notifications to ICE are tearing families apart. Before I was born and before becoming a citizen, my father was wrongfully detained by the police multiple times. Thankfully, ICE was not around to take him before or upon release. We know today that ICE is detaining people without due process, and it is unjust for our Sheriff's Office to be collaborating with them. I demand that the board enforce policy L2, stop ICE collaboration immediately, and redirect funds and resources to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Ken Herman. I reside in North Park, and I'm on the board of Justice Overcoming Boundaries. I'm also 80 years old, and I think I have some insight to share with you. When I was in school, when I was in college, we looked back on the incarceration of Japanese Americans during World War II with great shame. This was a moral outrage. I suggest that history is going to look back on this period of time of mass deportation with the same moral shame and outrage. There is no war going on at the moment, but there is a war against the American conscience. Thank you.
As the next speaker is coming forward, I'll invite 3 additional speakers. Atlin Dasmalchi, Bruno Huizar, and Patricia Serrano. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Good evening, board members. My name is Adriana Jasso. I work for the Office of the American Foreign Service Committee. We are also part of the Fuera Migra San Diego Working Group. We've been here many times, as stated before, and it is interesting to us and to the experience of San Diegans, all of community members, that the sheriff does have an option to work and collude and collaborate with ICE, yet it's not optional to adhere to a policy that a board took on and decided to approve on December 10 of 2024. At what point does the board holds the sheriff's office accountable, and if a decision took place, if the power and the betterment, the better well-being of the community is also a responsibility of the board members, it should be a responsibility of the sheriff's office. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good evening. California Values Act SB 54 is crystal clear. Local law enforcement.
Can you please state your name?
Pardon me. My name is Alton Dasmalchi. I'm an immigration attorney. California Values Act SB 54 is crystal clear. Local law enforcement shall not use department resources, personnel, or funds to investigate, detain, or arrest individuals for immigration enforcement purposes. This is on par with policy L2. Sheriff Martinez has been very public in her refusal to follow this law and policy, but the law is not optional. Neither is public trust. Under the current climate where federal funding for immigration and legal services has been slashed, local organizations like mine, the American Bar Association's Immigration Justice Project, have seen our ability to serve the community gutted. At the end of the day, Sheriff, if you want to confide with the community, if you want the community to feel trusted, what you're doing is going against that. And if you want to create a community where everyone feels welcome, you are going in the wrong direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, supervisors. My name is Bruno Huizar with the California Immigrant Policy Center. As a former UC San Diego student 12 years ago, my parent was detained and deported by ICE. As a teenager, I had to navigate the separation of my family. All San Diego residents deserve to feel safe, valued, and respected. When local sheriffs aid DHS agencies with the deportation of family community members, they undermine the trust in the county, making communities and families in San Diego feel less safe. By not allowing county resources to aid federal immigration agents, we guarantee that all San Diego residents, including children and families, can safely access vital county services such as healthcare, education, and housing without fear. The California legislature recognized local government's expertise by drafting the Values Act, SB 54, to create a baseline for disentangling local law enforcement while leaving room for localities to offer additional protections to meet the needs and the safety of their residents.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'll invite 3 additional speakers: Jesus Ramon, Crystal Irving, and Patricia Mondragon.
Good evening. My name is Patricia Serrano, and I am with PANA and resident of District 5. In recent months, we have seen that immigrants have been deprived of the right of due process, which is why we demand Sheriff Martinez to stand with the immigrant community and stand up for the rule of law and the due process by ending ICE transfers and notifications in San Diego County in compliance with the state law and the border policy L2. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors. My name is Jesus Ramon, and I'm here with California Immigrant Policy Center and a proud member of the immigrant community. On December 10th, this Board of Supervisors passed a County Board Policy L2, which prohibits the use of county resources from being used for federal immigration enforcement unless a proper judicial warrant is provided. 4 months out, Sheriff Kelly Martinez has consistently and publicly stated that she will continue to break county and state law by continuing to collude with federal immigration authorities against the instruction and desires of her Board of Supervisors. As the administration begins sending U.S.-born citizens to concentration camps abroad, it's the perfect time for Sheriff Martinez to reaffirm commitment to San Diego residents and stand up for their safety. It pains me to say that never again is happening again. Let San Diego County not participate any more. Madam Martinez, levántese y tenga orgullo. Thank you.
Patricia Mondragon, Regional Policy Manager for Alliance San Diego. During last year's Truth Act Forum, there was a lot of discussion about process, in particular to how and why 5 U.S. citizens appeared on the 2023 transfer report. Sheriff Martinez and Liliana never provided any clarity on this question. In fact, Liliana contradicted herself at one point, saying that they do in fact ask about citizenship, but later said the information is purely self-reported. Now again in 2024, we see another 5 individuals listed as being born in the U.S. Just today, Fox News reported that San Diego resident Aldo Martinez Gomez, who was born in San Diego County and has lived in South Bay for all his life, received a DHS letter to leave the county or be detained. Also today, the New York Times reported that an asylum seeker has simply disappeared from immigration records, describing it as a case that represents a black hole where due process no longer exists. The moment demands that the San Diego Sheriff comply with County Board Policy L2, which is state law. To do otherwise is dangerous for our communities.
Thank you. I'll call 3 additional speakers: Brenda Nunez, Tazim Nizam, and Kathy Archibald. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Brenda Nunez. I'm a proud SEIU Local 221 member. I have worked as a health and human service specialist for close to 19 years. I currently report to Access Center. As a border city, we have the responsibility to be welcoming and protect everyone's rights. we've seen how shifting immigration policies create chaos and harm families, leaving county workers to help pick up the pieces. That's why we support strong policy accountability with ICE and the.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tazeen Nizam, and I speak to you today as San Diego resident and advocate for Muslim communities. When local police and sheriff cooperate with ICE, they erode the trust that's essential for public safety. Here in San Diego, the collaboration means immigrant families live in fear that is a routine stop, and even calling for help could lead to detention. For Muslim communities, that fear is amplified. Years of profiling and surveillance have made us feel criminalized simply for their faith and background. In San Diego, we've seen Muslim students and families targeted for suspicion that swept into deportation. This climate of fear, silencing victims and witnesses, is not apprehensible for our communities. People won't report crimes and seek help, and if they fear that this is going to be a penalty for them, they will not come forward to seek help. We must end local entanglement with ICE. Our communities deserve to be safe without exceptions. Thank you.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'll invite 3 additional speakers: Leticia Alejo, Ana Reveles, and Jesse Diaz. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Hi, I'm Kathy Archibald. I'm a resident of District 3. Thank you all for your service and for your presentation. I would like to stand with the community, and I want the sheriff to comply with Board Policy L2 and California state law and stop using county and state resources to help the current federal administration violate the Constitution and all our human rights by sending people to foreign torture prisons with no due process. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Jessie Díaz, soy residente de National City.
Jessie Diaz, se llama.
Jessie Diaz.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Jessie Diaz, and I'm a resident of National City.
Y lo que quiero decir es que pues también pedir que se respete las pólizas de santuario, ¿verdad?
Yeah, and I also would like to tell you that I would like the sanctuary policies to be respected.
Que no todas las personas indocumentadas son criminales y que merecen respeto porque son personas y tienen dignidad y merecen que se les respete sus derechos civiles y humanos.
And not all the people who are here without any type of documents are criminals. You know, they are human beings. They're, you know, and they need to be respected as, you know, human beings that they are.
Que se respeten sus derechos humanos y sus derechos civiles.
Human rights and civil rights also need to be respected. ¿Es todo?
Es todo.
And that is all.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite 3 additional speakers: Vanessa Regoza, Carl Browning, Julie Shabley Gwynn.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Ana María Reveles.
Okay, and good afternoon. My name is Ana María Reveles.
Soy de la comunidad de National City.
And I live in the community of National City.
Y pertenezco a la organización ACE.
And I also belong to the organization ACE.
Y también vengo a apoyar y a dar mi desacuerdo por estar usando la policía de San Diego para ayudar a ICE a las deportaciones.
And I am here to support, and I'm in disagreement, you know, with the police, you know, helping those so they could be deported. I don't agree with that.
Y pues ver cómo está sufriendo nuestra comunidad latina con el solo hecho de tener la apariencia latina, le están parando a la gente. Y la acusan de estar ilegal y muchas veces sí tienen documentos para vivir aquí.
And you know, I just don't like to see the Latin people suffer. Sometimes, you know, they are not even illegal, but that the way they look, they get stopped, you know, for nothing, you know, just because they look like they're illegal. And we're not able to live like that.
Y bueno, es todo. Muchas gracias.
And that is all. Thank you. ¿Está bien, señor?
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Carl Browning. I'm a resident of District 2. Like most everyone else tonight, I'm here to urge the County Sheriff's Office to honor the wishes of the residents of San Diego County and comply with the county's sanctuary policy and to stop collaboration with DHS agencies to detain and deport community members. I think it's very unhealthy for that community members should live in fear of an encounter with law enforcement, just that they might be deported. So that makes the community less safe. I'd like to recount to you a situation that my wife and I experienced that shows how this is a misuse of county resources. We were working in our yard, and a young man, person of color, was walking up the street. A police cruiser came and met him. A second police cruiser came and met him. And over a period of about 45 minutes, they interrogated this poor young man with 3 police cruisers. That was just an unreasonable use of force.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'll invite 3 additional speakers: Christian Fuentes Hernandez, Barbara Pinto, Denise Lopez.
Good evening, Board of Supervisors. My name is Julie Xiaobong-Wen. I am a resident of Spring Valley in District 4. I'm also a member of First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Diego, which overwhelmingly voted to become a sanctuary congregation. As a person of faith, I feel that I must oppose this extreme anti-immigrant hysteria in the country and oppose my county supervisors assisting with this in any way, because I am called to love my neighbor, and this is harming our neighbors. This is tearing holes in our community. We have to stop it. Also, as a nearly 30-year resident of San Diego County, I want county resources used for things that we need, such as health as human services, not creating more trauma when our system is already overwhelmed.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Raigoza. I'm a proud SEIU member and a county employee. Transparency in government is a responsibility, yet the Sheriff's Department and government are not. Law enforcement is already not trusted as a whole. This means that there will be more fear to report actual criminals that rob, rape, or commit crimes to the communities of color. I support the Truth Act as it ensures that the public is not left in the dark. It requires that we hold forums like this accessible, inclusive, and open to shine light on when and how ICE was given access to individuals in our county. We have to acknowledge a deeper truth here. Those who benefit from systems of white and male privilege may never fully understand the fear, vulnerability, and uncertainty that others live with daily. If you have never had to wonder whether a simple traffic stop, a knock at the door, might lead to detention or deportation, then it's easy to dismiss forums like this as unnecessary. But for those without that privilege, transparency is not a luxury, it's a lifeline. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Christian Fuentes Hernandez, and I live in San Isidro. I would really appreciate that the police department does not cooperate with ICE. I live very close to the border, and I can tell you there's a lot of hysteria. A lot of my friends are not going to school. You know, there's like, you look at the news, and people are getting deported. Like, I just think there's a lot of mistrust with the things that are going on, and I would really appreciate that maybe the sheriff department, if they don't work with ICE, will feel safer. So yeah, thank you so much, and have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Okay, hi, my name is Denise Lopez. I'm a student at UCSD, and I'm from District 4, and I live in City Heights, but I'm a commuter, and I go to UCSD. I'm here tonight to demand that the San Diego County Sheriff Office immediately adopt the county sanctuary policies and stop all collaboration with the Department of Homeland Security agency to detain and deport our community members. I am a U.S. citizen, but I'm very scared that I have to carry my passport 24/7 because I have to commute to UCSD, and right now my campus is not safe. And I have to carry this to just get into my trolley, to be in my classes, and because I'm scared as my color of my skin, I can get deported. And as a community member in City Heights, I have to wonder, will I be stopped because of my color of my skin. And I have members of my family, members of my community who are scared to interact with police officers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So next speaker is coming forward. I'd like to invite the remaining speakers in person. Jose Lopez Eguino, Paulina Olvera, and Raul Del Toro. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Hello, my name is Barbara Pinto, and I'm a member of ACE, and I am here to protest the interference of the local law enforcement with ICE for the deportation of immigrants. There are laws already in place to protect many of these people, and I feel interference in the lives of many of these people is unfair and unnecessary. Many adults are established already with jobs. Their children are registered in schools, and they have home stability, very necessary in our economy and in our housing crisis. Why disrupt this? This is a federal concern. Why is our county funding being used for these purposes? Our funding should be used for things within our own communities, parks and lightings and street improvements, after-school programs and things of this nature. Render help, not hardships. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Raúl del Toro.
And good afternoon. My name is Raúl del Toro,
Soy residente de National City.
and I'm a National City resident,
También soy del grupo de ACE.
and I also belong to ACE.
Nada más quiero recalcar que yo vengo de una familia de inmigrantes del campo.
I just want to emphasize that I come, from immigrants, from the field. My family worked in the field.
Y ellos me dicen que, yo ya no estoy allá, pero ellos me cuentan, como en Fresno, en Sacramento, que la situación está muy difícil, la gente no quiere salir a trabajar.
Okay. And I don't live, where they're living. They're like Fresno and Sacramento, and they're explaining to me how things are so difficult now that they don't even want to go out to work.
Por la situación que estamos viviendo. Y es una vergüenza que tengamos que estar nosotros, la gente, escondiéndose.
Okay. And it is because of what we're living through, and it's shameful, that we have to be hiding.
Y lo vemos en nuestra comunidad, en las tiendas, en la calle, la gente no sale.
We see that in our communities, on the street, on the stores, people are not going out.
Y deberíamos de estarnos enfocándonos en la superación de nuestra comunidad.
What we need to focus on is, how to get better, how do we can get ahead as a community.
Y es todo por
And
mí.
that is all. That's it.
Gracias.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Jose Alfonso Lopez Eguino Jr. I'm the director of the San Diego office of ACE, the Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment, and I'm a resident of District 1 and a proud son of immigrant parents from Sinaloa, Mexico. I'm here to demand that the sheriff immediately comply with board policy L2 and stop collaborating with ICE. This collusion creates fear and mistrust of local law enforcement and local government. Shame on Sheriff Kelly Martinez for refusing to stop colluding with ICE. We need to stop using county resources for immigration enforcement. We need to use these resources to make sure people have safe, affordable, and dignified housing, make sure people have mental health services, make sure that our youth have the programs and the services they need to make sure that they can thrive. So again, I demand that we stop colluding with ICE, and please abide by board policy L2. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to invite forward Consuelo, and then I'll do a final call for the individuals that I previously identified. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Paulina. I'm a member of ACE, and I'm the executive director for Espacio Migrante. I'm a resident of District 1 and an immigrant from Mexico. And I want to call upon the sheriff to stop collaborating with ICE and respect County Board Policy L2. DHS, ICE, and Border Patrol have a long history of harassing our immigrant communities separating families and causing fear. And this has only been made worse with Trump's anti-immigrant racist agenda, where people are now being picked up, kidnapped from the streets and being sent to concentration camps in El Salvador. So this collaboration with ICE does not make our communities safer. We need county resources invested in services for our community, like housing and healthcare. Thank you.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'll recall the individuals that I previously called that did not come to speak: Victor Valle, Daniel Loza, Maria Isabel, Crystal Irving, and Leticia Alejo, and Pam.
Okay, so Consuelo here, and I hate to break it to you all, but our county already tears families apart, and Health and Human Services rip families apart regularly. Tara mentioned dignity and respect. Isn't it something how we have so many in support of people coming across the border without permission, being treated with dignity and respect, yet many of the same people fail to see the ones who are already here legally being mistreated, ignoring the sheer fact that they are not being treated with that same dignity they want for the individuals who come here. Our homeless citizens, veterans, struggling families who should be the priority. This reminds me of how the conservatives are for pro-life and the liberals rebuttal is, well, who will take care of that unborn child? Well, it's the same difference. The majority in opposition want to be supportive of individuals who will most likely not thrive in our already busted county. There is a major deficit.
Thank you. We'll now hear from those that requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. We'll begin with our first caller.
Paul Bold. It's gone too far. ICE is acting arbitrarily, deporting illegal immigrants and American citizens alike, sending a deportation notice to a U.S. citizen in national city. But the solution is not to act back arbitrarily and declare a sanctuary city. We need due process, not sneak around the law process. On the other hand, the sheriff and deputies have a primary duty to uphold the Constitution under their oath of office. In view of the Trump administration's position on deporting people, including United States citizens, without due process, and several Supreme Court decisions upholding due process for deportees, which they continue to fight, and the sheriff and deputy.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
It's truth. If there's illegals that have been arrested for up to 12 different crimes, why are they still in this country? At last year's Truth Forum, some people who spoke against ICE and or Sheriff Kelly were calling the deputies pigs and also yelling out racist expletives. That hateful, un-American rhetoric is destructive of whatever the aim of this pointless forum to be. Why do I say pointless? Non-citizens are not entitled to the rights of American citizens. Yet, Tara, Monica, and Nora all voted for a sanctuary county. Joel could care less what that vote was. And contrary to media propaganda, Sheriff Kelly is going to keep following the Constitution-violating SB 54. America is also not responsible for El Salvador's torture prisons. They are. And if anyone's going to whine about ICE, please go do it in D.C. This is a show forum that has achieved nothing and is only to put pressure upon the sheriff to never follow the national Constitution. And I'm sorry, Kelly, that you have to hear these paid NGO minions every year, including ACE. But now that a new administration has the reins, this forum may even go defunct soon. But don't worry, Bonta's wasting $25 million of our tax dollars to sue, instead of taking care of Californian families. Defund illegal.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller. This next caller is Oliver Joyce. We're having some challenges hearing you.
Okay.
We can hear you better now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, please go ahead.
I'll try. Okay, so unpaid and unscripted victim advocate calling for the rights, and I'm the voice of the voiceless. Thank you to Sheriff Martinez for walking fully in your authority. People are talking about the undocumented being victims, but they fail to mention the victims of the undocumented, Samia, Samara, and Samantha Mora Gutierrez, killed in a Sacramento church, Oscar Omar Hernandez, killed by his soccer, Miguel Sanchez, a catalytic that he interrupted. These are all people that are alive, will not have
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Hi, my name is Benjamin Wong. I'm a resident of District 4. I'm here to demand that the San Diego County Sheriff's Office immediately adopt the county's sanctuary policy and stop all collaboration with DHS agencies to detain and deport our community members. Our region is stronger when San Diegans don't live in fear that an encounter with law enforcement will result in deportation. The SDSO's continual voluntary collaboration with ICE and Border Patrol makes our communities less safe and makes the possibility of keeping our loved ones together less possible. San Diego County Sheriff's Office must immediately adopt the county sanctuary policy, Board Policy L2. Stop using county resources to advance the federal government's anti-immigrant agenda. Thanks.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Hi there, my name is Melody. I'm a resident of District 3. I'm calling tonight to demand that the San Diego County Sheriff's Office immediately adopt the county sanctuary policy and cease all collaboration with DHS to deport our community members. These are not just nobodies. They are our coworkers, our neighbors, and our friends. They are the living, beating hearts of our communities, and to see them whisked away by the whims of a wrathful, wannabe despot diminishes not just them, but us as well. To this end, I believe the Sheriff's Office must immediately adopt our county sanctuary policy and stop using county resources to advance the federal government's anti-immigrant agenda. To do otherwise is committing to the destruction of the people that make San Diego special. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Hi, I'm Alex Kane. I'm from District 3. Sheriff Martinez needs to focus on law enforcement and keeping the community safe and stop any and all collaboration with ICE and other DHS agencies. DHS and ICE are not serious law enforcement agencies. You can tell because they regularly break our foundational constitutional laws. It's clear that they are supporting a white supremacist agenda meant to terrorize people that some politicians don't like. That's politics, not law enforcement. By aiding them, the sheriff is aiding lawbreakers, terrorizing communities, and acting as political stooge. Sheriff Martinez, mixing politics with law enforcement only results in political terrorism. Don't be a stooge. Do your job and follow the county sanctuary policy. And to address the board, if the sheriff doesn't comply with the policy, it's time to do your job and put their funding on.
Thank you. Now hear from the final caller.
This is Catherine Rhodes. This is for Joel Anderson. Rhodes funds at $237 million in cash and only has plans to spend $6 million, with the remaining $230 million hoarded to play the stock market instead of building county roads. There's more money coming in each year than goes out. Please create a plan to spend the $237 million in cash on the county roads. Otherwise, it should be spent on the homeless or something. I agree with everything Audra Morgan stated. I believe the County Board of Supervisors should get the state law changed to put the supervisors in charge of the sheriff only for San Diego County instead of statewide, which failed. The sheriff should be under the Board of Supervisors because she's out of control and has gone rogue. No one can trust the Sheriff's Department to not use county resources to scare immigrants or stop drugs coming into the jails or stop the many deaths in our jails run by the sheriff. San Diego County has more jail deaths than New York's notorious Rikers Island jail. Sheriff Martinez has not presented any plan for...
Thank you. And Vice Chair Lawson-Remer, that concludes public comment on this item.
Okay, thank you very much. There was a lot of really great questions. So we're going to next have an opportunity, our board, to ask some questions of the sheriff. I think some of these might have been generated previously. I have some questions based on comments from folks here today. So I'm going to kick us off, and then we can turn it to my fellow board members for any questions they have. And I just want to say before we start that there's no question that we are in a different moment right now. It is really terrifying that there's a man now in a prison in El Salvador who was illegally deported, and our administration is now saying that they can't get him back. And just about a week and a half ago, our president mentioned that maybe we should look at deporting U.S. citizens to El Salvador as well. So it's a very scary moment in terms of a kind of a flagrant disregard of due process and the U.S. Constitution in this country and rule of law. So I just want to center my questions in that vein, that this has always been a concern. Clearly, the Truth Act was established many years ago, but it has never been more salient to really make sure that we are protecting people's constitutional rights and rights to due process in our country. With that in mind, I just had a couple questions in various veins. So I think I just want to begin with some questions about data and publishing of data. And there were some things I thought were interesting. I wanted to better understand. So we have a list here of items or of transfers that were published on the website according to the Values Act, the transfer report. And many of them are missing information about qualifying conviction, date, charge, and severity. So this was the data that was published under the Values Act. And I'm wondering why that information is missing, and if there's any way we can ensure that when we publish the information regarding transfers that we include the qualifying conviction, date, charge, and severity.
Thank you, Vice Chair, for that question. Are you talking about where it says a federal warrant is the reason? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so those are actually excluded from SB 54. We are reporting those in full transparency, but there's no requirement that there's a qualifying conviction that's a signed warrant by a judge, which we have to honor.
Okay, so that's helpful. So if it says federal warrant, then there's no need to have a qualifying conviction of some kind. Now, that gets to my next kind of question in this vein. Does a federal warrant mean a judicial warrant signed by a judge? Are those words the same? Are those synonyms, or could it be an administrative warrant?
No, it's signed by a judge.
So so federal warrant and judicial warrant are synonyms. Federal warrant means judicial warrant?
Yeah, and that means it's gone to the U.S. attorney for review and then gone to a federal judge for signature.
So where it says federal warrant, that means judicial warrant.
Right, and those we don't have to report per this forum. We do it out of transparency.
That's very, very helpful. I think I was not clear that a federal warrant meant a judicial warrant and that it wasn't also administered. It's very helpful. Thank you very much. My next question was looking at the information that's collected and broken down into months. And this, I know that this is reported yearly, but it seems to be collected monthly. And I'm wondering if we can, the sheriff could publish online these statistical monthly breakdowns, like on a more frequent basis, because I know it looks like, or it appears that this data is being collected monthly. Is it possible, and this is the same question I asked last year, if we could publish it more frequently, either every month or every other month?
It's not actually collected monthly, it's just articulated here by month, but we can take a look at that.
That would be very helpful. I mean, I think a lot of where I'm sitting right now and what I'm thinking about is the need for transparency and trust building. And if we don't have data until a year later, there's a lot of lack of understanding of what the sheriff's doing, and it would be very helpful if we could publish that monthly or every other month. That would be very helpful.
Thank you.
Okay, so those are 2 questions around data. Thank you. My third question was, this is looking at the last year's data, the 2024 data. And I saw that of the 30 transfers, 5 identified the USA as their place of birth. And so considering the recent detention of U.S. citizens by DHS agencies and the possibility of, kind of the conversation happening around deportations and incarceration in foreign prisons, what steps does the SDSO take when an individual self-identifies as born in the U.S.? What do you do?
So we, as we said, it's self-identifies, and that's, if the individual meets all of the criteria under SB 54 or there's a judicial warrant for their arrest, we can't verify their place of birth. We don't have any way to do that anyway. That's immigration's job. That's a federal authority.
So if they say they're born in the U.S., you transfer them anyway, basically.
If they produce they have the opportunity to have an attorney, and an attorney can investigate that and present that as part of their federal case. If they're in fact born in the United States, that would be the avenue for handling that.
But it would be outside of you would have already given them to ICE before they had the opportunity to make that.
No, they would have the opportunity when they're interviewed by ICE, or they have an opportunity to have an attorney prior to any of the process of transfer or any of that happens. So that's an argument the attorney should bring forward in federal court.
To arguing it to ICE or arguing it to you?
Argue it to federal court. In federal court, it's not my authority to investigate their immigration status.
I'm just trying to be very clear, trying to understand. If they say their birth is in the United States, you could still give them to ICE, and then when they're being processed for removal, that's when they would argue that they are not subject to removal because they're a U.S. citizen, but you would still give them over to ICE.
I don't have any authority to investigate immigration status, so I don't have any authority to verify their place of birth or whether they're telling me the truth about where they were born. That's not my authority. That would be the obligation I would expect of their attorney if they have retained an attorney, which they are provided an attorney.
So if you got an inquiry from ICE about an individual who had some kind of qualifying convictions, or you had a judicial warrant, but they told you they were born in the U.S., you would still have to hand them over, or you still would hand them over?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. Those are my questions. So I know we also have questions, a number of questions that were submitted, and we will definitely need to get to those today, hopefully today, but we will get to them. So Supervisor Montgomery Stepp, you've raised your hand.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation. This is my second go round, so thank you to all the community members for coming out in the evening and over and over again and going through this process with us. So I think, not to kind of repeat what the Vice Chair said, but when we passed the policy in December of last year, we weren't even at the point where we are now, right? Nationally, it's every day. We hear a different story in the news. We're around immigration. We're certainly a border city. You know, we're to the point now where the President of the United States, you know, it's not too far gone to say that this is part of a strategy to sort of remove due process from the picture so that even citizens can be deported to places that they are not from, right? So that is not me. He's pretty much said that himself. So the moment is different. And so in that vein, I want to go back to kind of at least one question that I asked last year, and that was also around the 5 people that claim to be United States citizens that were still deported. So if you could just walk me through what that process looks like, because we just talked about the judicial warrants. So could you walk me through the entire process of how that actually happens, where someone it says they are from the United States, and then because you don't have the authority to investigate that, you deport them anyway, or how does that work?
Thanks for the question, and I want to clarify a couple of things. I don't deport anybody. I don't have that authority. Or turn them over to ICE, excuse me. And the other piece is, it's not lost on me, the concerns of our community. It's not lost on me, the fear in the community. And I want everyone to understand that this is my community as well. And the fear in what's going on is really not generated because sheriff's deputies are in the community, and we don't enforce immigration. What's happening in our jails with convicted individuals, people convicted of crimes who can come to our jails over 108 times, the 30 individuals we're talking about this year, victimize people. The expense that is spent not only with the justice system, 108 times deputies or officers have gone and met with victims who are the victims of crimes, taken crime reports, done an investigation, made an arrest, booked people in jail. DA's office, public defender, probation have all gotten involved. Judges have gotten involved. There's an enormous expense, not to mention the expense to the victims in our community. So I want everyone to understand the passion around that as well. And we're not in the community. We're not out looking for people. It protects our communities when ICE is picking someone up in the jail that they're going to go look for anyway. It protects our community members from having collateral damage of having mothers, daughters, sons, children picked up as well. So I just want to make it clear where I stand on this, and I am keeping our community safe. If one of these individuals goes out and commits another rape, murder, child molest, that's on my conscience. So that's where I stand with that.
Good job, Kelly.
But as far as people who claim that they were born in the United States, we ask where someone's born when they get booked into jail. If they say the United States, a lot of times that could be that they just don't want ICE to know that they're in our custody. But I don't know, but I'll have Lily explain.
Yeah, because I guess just the issue with that is when I look at the numbers, I assume that may be the assumption that is being made when the decision is made to turn them over to ICE. But how do we know that? That's the.
You want me to verify that they're actually not born in the United States?
Well, that would be.
I can't do that. I can't do it.
Your mic is not on, so the people in the.
Yeah, I understand that what the supervisor is asking is that I verify that they were not born in the United States before we do a transfer following SB 54 guidelines. I can't do that. That's not my authority to understand their immigration status. I apologize. I know you want another answer. You want me to investigate, get their birth certificate. If they
I just don't want U.S. citizens to be turned over to ICE. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't want United States citizens deported either.
And I believe that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just a follow-up to that. So what would prevent, let's say I was detained and there was a federal warrant, what would prevent ICE from just deciding to ask for me, get a judicial warrant? Maybe I'm not a great example, but someone, and then it's a U.S. citizen, but since you can't verify that it's a U.S. citizen or not, you give the person to ICE, and then the person's in ICE custody, and then they just disappear them to El Salvador.
Yeah, and I understand, and I know that the media and case examples exist where that's happening. all I can say is that individuals need to bring forward evidence that they are a United States citizen and prove that fact. I
But
don't
not
have
to
the
you,
authority.
to ICE.
Not to ICE, to a judge, to the U.S. attorney, through an attorney. You know, there is a process. There's a judicial process to prove your case. And I know that there have been examples, recent examples, where that doesn't appear to have been followed. I don't know I don't know what to say beyond that. So.
Supervisor Anderson, any questions?
No, this time, thank you.
Okay, well, we will then go. We have a number of questions that have been previously submitted by the public, so why don't we go ahead and ask those of the sheriff? Thank you. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Vice Chair Lawson-Remer. We had 16 questions. A number of those questions had multiple parts to it, which equates to about 35 questions. And so I will individually read these to the sheriff and have the sheriff respond to these questions. The first question that was submitted by a resident reads, why are you wasting our tax money doing the feds' work for them for free? Much of it is immoral in addition to expensive.
So my answer to this question is that my policies are based on public safety. I'm following state law and not crossing any lines when it comes to federal immigration enforcement.
The next question that was submitted reads, could you please clarify the specific types of agreements or memorandums of understanding currently in place between the San Diego Sheriff's Office and U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, including the date each was established and the nature of the cooperation outlined in each?
So this is a lot of information, so I would invite the requester to visit our webpage where we have a lot of this information posted, or to submit a Public Records Act request, since the request would require an extensive amount of information gathering.
The next question reads, in what ways are you collaborating with ICE? As a sanctuary city, we need to protect immigrants as well as people who are here legally for racial profiling. How are you protecting people in our community?
So the communication we have with ICE related to immigration is strictly based on SB 54 and only for persons who are in our custody. We participate in a number of task forces which act to keep San Diego safe. There are a number of partner agencies. Sometimes ICE is included in some of the task forces. My personnel who are assigned to these task forces do not and never will engage in any immigration enforcement operations or arrests. And all of these task forces are reported annually in a report to the State Department of Justice and posted publicly on our webpage under our page dedicated to immigration and SB 54.
Thank you. The next question, why is the department not complying with the supervisor's motion to end all cooperation with federal immigration enforcement?
Well, it's my belief and the belief of lawyers and case law that the sheriff has sole authority to set policy for the jail. And the policy that I have set is to follow SB 54.
The next question is, what are your plans to stop collaborating with ICE so as to defend the humanity and rights of human beings in custody?
It's my intent to always keep the community safe, and my current policies balance the priorities of our communities and public safety.
Next question reads, how does the office ensure that individuals in custody have access to counsel in both county custody and ICE custody?
So upon arrest, an incarcerated individual is scheduled to appear at Superior Court for an arraignment. Prior to that appearance, the Public Defender's Office obtains a daily listing of those who are scheduled to appear in court, and they meet with them to determine if they require representation. If they agree to representation, the incarcerated individual signs required documentation, and the appointment is confirmed during arraignment. All incarcerated individuals are entitled to professional visits from their private or public defender counsel. The Sheriff's Office offers language services to individuals in custody to ensure they understand their rights while in Sheriff's custody, and all incarcerated persons are entitled to professional visits from their hired or appointed legal counsel, and we don't stand in the way of legal representation from anyone. I can't speak to their access to counsel once they are in ICE's custody.
This next question appears to be a statement. I'll read it. A perfect Holy Week reflection from Bishop Menjivar invoking Saint Oscar Romero, quote, "It is time now for you to reclaim your conscience. What are you doing is worth nothing if it is stained with unjust cruelty. That is not what America stands for. You too can and should speak out against this terror and infliction of suffering on people. You can refuse to be involved in oppression and these grievous assaults on human rights and dignity. I can move on to the next question if you don't have a response to that statement.
Madam Chair, I have a heart out, and perhaps if the body would like, we could post this on the county website, both the questions and the answers, and everybody can go and see it, and we can leave it up there until next year.
Supervisor Anderson, you have to leave in what time?
I'm going to leave in 1 more minute.
Okay. Why don't we go ahead and get one more question done? And that would be great if we could post this. How many more questions and answers do we have?
We can post all of the questions that were provided with the answers so that people can refer to them.
But how many more do we have that haven't yet been
We're
answered?
about halfway through.
Let's do one more, and then let's post the rest.
We just exceeded my 1 minute.
Okay.
So thank you very much. Appreciate it. I want to thank everybody for coming in with all their...
Your mic.
I want to thank everybody for their questions. I want to thank the sheriff on behalf of District 2. Please share with your deputies how proud we are of them. And I appreciate you living within SB 54 and balancing that against public safety. Thank you. Madam Chair, thank you very much for the meeting. And I will see you tomorrow over the internet.
Okay. Thank you very much. It would be great. Can we get the answers to all the questions that were submitted posted?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we now no longer have a quorum, I suppose. So, Claudia, we're required to end the meeting. Is that correct? Okay. Then this meeting is adjourned until tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
The board will reconvene tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. for the land use session of this meeting, as well as the remaining items in the general legislative session. Thank you.